Good evening, Drew.
Hello, Paul. How do I
Hey.
sound? Am I a little less gainy tonight?
I couldn't tell on the Skype. I couldn't tell until I got the recording. So
God,
right
it
now you
was
sound fine. Yeah,
yeah, that was rough.
I did my best, but
I
I'm
know,
I'm
man.
only I'm only I only have so much skills.
Well, so what had happened was, and for those of you that listen, you might have noticed that I was way louder on the recording than normal, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that I've sort of rearranged my desk a bit. Traditionally I've had my microphone on a boom arm that sort of hangs, over my head or in front of my face. And I put my widescreen monitor back on my desk, and there just isn't room for the arm to reach where I sit. So I bought a tabletop mic stand that
Oh,
sits
okay.
pretty close to my face now. And I've like reoriented the microphone so I think it's capturing more of my wonderful crappy voice. But I did put a pop filter on it this week, so we'll see if that helps. Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know about you, Paul, but I got a lot of very pointed feedback on our candy rankings.
Okay. I didn't get any. So
Okay.
please fill me in.
A lot of people that reached out to me directly told me that we were crazy for ranking Milky Ways as high as we did. I had at least
Look
two
at
people tell me that.
they can get their own podcast.
I mean, that's what I wanted to say. And then a lot of people, listen, I think part of the fun of doing tier lists like that is getting a rise out of people because we don't like the things that they like.
Right.
A lot of people came at me with some pretty obscure stuff. Friend of the show, Eric Darling, was very upset that we didn't like snow caps, which I couldn't even tell you any place around here that even sells snow caps. So must be a
No.
regional thing, but I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun with that. The YouTube video turned
I
out pretty
did.
good.
I did too. I enjoyed that quite a bit. It was a lot of
Uh,
fun.
yeah, and we're gonna have to get John Kruger on the show. I think sooner than
Mhm.
later. Now, when we
Yes.
when we
Yes.
when we do the meat tier ranking list, because I don't know how anybody can say turkey is a trash tier of meat, but I'm sure he has his reasons. And John's a pretty smart guy, so I kind of want to hear his arguments.
I mean, like, turkey is a protein that you can easily overcook. And maybe that's John Kruger's problem. He's never had like a good, like, roasted, juicy turkey, but turkey's good. Mm,
Yeah, turkey's pretty good. Now, yeah, I'm with you. Like dry turkey, no good.
yeah.
Turkey, like Thanksgiving turkey's good for me the day of. I'm not a big fan of the leftover turkey,
Yeah.
but day of Thanksgiving turkey where it's nice and warm and still kind of juiciful, it's pretty good.
So back to the candy thing real quick. There was one glaring omission. You don't have to, okay, you're moving stuff around on me.
I am.
There's one glaring omission on that candy tier list that I didn't notice when we were doing it, but I'm going to have to I guess retroactively make an addition.
Okay.
Jelly beans. Jelly beans are my favorite candy. I love jelly beans. Number one favorite candy all time. I love like expensive Jelly Bellies. I love the cheap ass Brock stuff that you get around Easter. I love them all. They're good. I love them.
I'm glad
Jelly
you brought
beans.
that up. Let's see, jelly beans. Okay, so you mentioned kind of the full spectrum
I
here
did.
of the
Yep.
Jelly Belly,
Mhm.
which I think is like God tier, S tier jelly
Mhm.
beans, and Brock's, which are not great.
See, to me, okay, I'd put them A tier. Me, that's just me personally. I love jelly beans. If there's like anything else to pick from and jelly beans, I'm gonna eat the jelly beans because I love them. I love them.
The only jelly beans I like is Starburst jelly beans.
Oh, those are amazing jelly
It,
beans too.
yeah, they are
Oh,
just very good. They are
mhm.
very good.
Yes.
That was a pretty big miss. That didn't even dawn on me when
It,
we were doing it.
it didn't until the editing. I'm like, there's
Hmm.
no jelly beans. I love jelly beans.
Now, is there a particular size of jelly bean that you just sort of check out at? Because there's some jelly beans out there that go from regular old little bean size, which I think we're all like familiar with, right?
Yeah.
But I've seen jelly beans that get up to like peanut size, and like
Yeah.
that seems like extra work.
To me, the smaller the better, simply because of the coating to jelly fill
Mhm.
ratio. It's got to be right. Uh, so like, like your typical Brock's, I think is about as big as they really should get. I've seen the novelty sized ones as well, that are just bigger. But like the Jelly Bellies, the Starburst, the little ones, that's that's perfect.
Now, while
That's the
we're
best.
here, though, I want to dig a little bit deeper on this, if you don't mind. So, um, I'll tell you, jelly beans can be a little bit sneaky too. Um, Sometimes I'll pick up a green jelly bean expecting a fruity flavor, and then it's like peppermint.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You have to know it's coming. You can't be taken by surprise.
yeah.
So you kind of have to know what you're getting into before. I mean, I like mint jelly beans, but if I'm going down and expecting like, you know, a lime or like an apple or something like that, and you get mint, it's a little
Yeah, very disconcerting. Like it's like
mhm,
I just want to push the whole plate away. Like nah. Like at that
mhm,
point, I'm just basically done.
yep.
Now Jelly Belly's an interesting one though because they have traditional flavors, but
Mhm.
I think they're also known for some pretty outlandish ones, right? Like they've got like popcorn and
Mhm.
liquor. Well, not licorice, but like
Popcorn's good.
yeah.
Uh
Is there a particular like flavor of Jelly Belly that you could like sort of zero in on rather than the classics?
I mean, I they're all good jelly beans. Uh Drew. But the toasted marshmallow is really really good.
Hmm.
I do like the buttered popcorn. And Jelly Belly has quite possibly the perfect cinnamon jelly bean. Mm, it's it's really good.
Cinnamon.
Yeah,
Now,
and they have some new flavors as well. Like they have like a Dr Pepper one that is really good.
excuse me.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Doctor, hold
Uh
on, I gotta Google that. Dr. Pepper jelly belly.
uh
Ooh, they're brown though. I can't eat
mhm.
anything brown that isn't chocolate. Um,
And what else? What else is really good? Oh,
16-ounce resealable bag.
and the Tutti Frutti is also good.
Oh, that's the one that's like blue in a bunch of different colors.
Yeah, it's like that's yeah, you would call it unicorn, I think, because it's like all the pastel in colors, but they're really good. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, they're good.
I don't know if I could do that one.
It's
Okay.
good.
Well, yeah, jelly beans, pretty big mix, or pretty big miss. Man, I really want some jelly beans now. They're like Starburst jelly beans are really, really good.
They are.
That's my
They're
go-to.
good. They're
That,
really
if
good.
I was gonna reach for a jelly bean, I think that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just switched topics around in the list because I want to spend time on the last one a little
Okay.
bit
Okay.
because I was doing some genuflecting. Is that a word? Yeah, is that the
Is
word? Yeah,
is it?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Genuflecting or
I
reflecting.
think mine's gonna be pretty short here.
Well,
We'll
I
see.
have
Okay.
lots of questions for you.
I know you do, because you and I
Okay,
have very different opinions on this.
okay, let's go.
Uh, Today, I made my last payment on my existing car, and I think I'm gonna get a new one.
Okay, now we have talked cars on this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mostly,
you are
mostly you, mostly.
no, but you have had opinions.
Yes, I have opinions.
Okay. And I am going to go out on a limb here and say that you are going to be looking for a electric car or a hybrid again.
No, no, no,
No.
no, no,
Okay,
no,
see?
no, no on both. No on both.
Okay.
Uh,
But traditionally that is what you have bought.
I mean, I had a hybrid before.
But
But my
wasn't the car you had now another hybrid?
no, it's not.
Your Honda
No.
was.
My Honda before. So currently I have a 2017 Hyundai Sonata. It's fine. It's fine. It's got some panels that the paint's coming off, and I'm not super happy about it. Uh, and the hood, currently the hood release is broken, so I got to get that fixed. Uh, but it's fine. The car I had before that was a Honda Civic Hybrid, and that car. Great. Okay, so it was a very early hybrid. Okay, I think it was like the first or second model that Honda ever came out with. It was awful. It was awful. I hated that car. I was glad to be rid of it. I mean, I did keep it for like 6 years, mostly because I tend to keep cars for a long time. Uh, but so the whole I'm going to mention COVID here in a way that's not related to COVID at all. So COVID's kind of changed the way that we work, right? So we're working remote from home more. I'm probably never going to go back into the office full time. So that kind of opens the opportunity for me to get a lease.
Okay.
Instead of buying a car. So I'm kind of hoping that this car I get, if I get like a 2 or 3 year lease, will be kind of the bridge car until there's an electric car that I want. That's not a Tesla. So I'm kind of looking for just maybe my last gas car of all time, maybe forever. We'll see.
So
Who knows?
So I wasn't far off. You do have the desire to go electric.
Yes, I do. I just combination of I don't really like I like car-shaped cars, and a lot of brands like to make their cars look a little kooky when they're electric, and so a combination of that, and I don't want to spend $40,000 on a car. So a lot of them are just kind of out of my price. The ones that do look nice are out of my price range.
Well, but hold on though. If the equation is switching to a lease, doesn't that open up higher price options for you?
It does, but I don't know. I'm not an expensive car kind of person. I to me, cars are tools. They're just something that I, get in, put in a podcast, and go to the place that I need to go. So I don't know. I've just never really considered, higher end or luxury cars.
But you sort of bring up where I want to go with this, and it is you care a hell of a lot less about the driving experience, and you care more about the creature comforts and features of the interior.
I would say so, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So for you, there are going to be things that you absolutely, positively must have, and I'm going to assume that number high up on the list, like for me, it was probably CarPlay.
Absolutely. If a car does not have CarPlay, it is off the list completely.
Now, you would also appreciate a decent to upgraded sound system, I would assume.
Yes, in fact, I would.
Yeah. Okay. Now, are there other features that you think that, boy, my car has this now, or my car doesn't have this now that I want?
So I've been window shopping online. It's got to have a decently sized kind of center touchscreen console thing that all cars have now. The tablet that they mount. I'm looking at you, a Volkswagen Passat. Because they still have like a 6.5-inch screen buried in the middle, and it's a Volkswagen is a brand that I've always wanted to own. I was like, oh, I'll look at Volkswagen, and I'm just they're except for their what's their brand new one that just came out with?
I'm gonna strongly discourage you from owning a Volkswagen.
What did they just come out with? The Arteon.
The Arteon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that interior looks better, but I don't know. It's starts at 37,000, and that may be more than I want to pay. Again, I know doing a lease, I can get the lease payment down.
Boy, that's a bulbous car.
Yeah, it's probably a little bigger than what I want to. So that dream was dashed. So it's off the menu.
What about like heated seats, wireless charging? Like, what about other stuff like that? Like, that's stuff getting to be standard. But
I don't like heated seats. I don't like them. I don't like them. I feel like I'm urinating myself when I have them on.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm not Ted Cruz. I don't like to wet my pants just to have the warm, wet feel between my legs.
Getting political today.
That's a Bim Bam reference if you're not aware. So I'm not heated steering wheel, heated seats. I've never had them. My wife likes them. If they're there, it's fine. It's not something that I need to have. But like you said, like the cars I'm looking at right now, it's pretty, it seems to be standard, at least in some of the trim levels.
Yeah. Well, okay. So hearing all your requirements, okay, if if you're gonna treat a car as a tool, right, and you want a nice blend of luxury and you want all the things that you just said that you want, with the option to upgrade things like the sound system and have it sound good, um, man, I don't think you could go much more wrong than a Honda Accord, right?
Yeah, I know.
Or if you wanted to go slightly upscale with it for about the same price and it not be quite as big, but it probably has better tech in it, I would say look at something like an Acura TLX.
Acura TLX. That's the one. That's not one that I've looked at.
Yeah, now
TLX.
now in fairness, because I can hear people screaming it. Well, I don't know if anybody even listens to us, but people listening to this would probably scream at me and say that's not the Acura to get. But for you, I think it is. It's more mid-size than full size. I guess if you want to call an Accord full size, but it has a really nice suite of tech. The interior is, I think, pretty well done. It's very close to what you would get in an Accord. Um, and it offers a lot of nice upgrade options for the money. Um, you know, a lot of their pictures online will show you the more sportier models, but if you scroll down on the exterior pictures, you will see kind of the base trim models, which is what I'm going to assume that you would want to look at. And if I click through on the build, um, you pick your color and everything that you would want. I know you like white cars, and so do I.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's got a moderately powered engine. You can get it in all-wheel drive, which is nice for Ohio. And then when you do the tech package, you get, I think it would literally tick every single box that you would want. It comes with, uh, better seating, a nicer audio system, the upgraded 7-inch display that's very responsive according to everything that I've read. I think that's something that I would look at, and if not, right, because this car, the TLX is a $40,000 car, right? But under the covers, it's a Honda. It's built on a Honda platform. I think a lot of these, I don't know if the TLX is built here in Ohio or not, but
Yeah, I don't know.
it's a pretty nice car. I would
Okay.
I would seriously take a look at that, or I think an Accord would probably suit you well too.
So I've been one of the cars I kind of have earmarked for a test drive is the Nissan Altima.
Yep, I
Uh,
was gonna suggest the Altima next, or a Camry.
I really like the look of the for the Nissan the the Platinum, which is
Hmm.
the high end trim level with the 19-inch wheels and the like Bose sound system. Uh,
Hmm.
and all the ones in Columbus are all wheel drive because it's hard to get cars right now. So much like you buying a house at the worst possible time, I'm probably buying a car at the worst possible time.
Yeah,
uh,
the Altima is the one step below the Maxima. Again, kind of the same
yep,
deal here, right?
yeah.
Where it's the Civic, it's the equivalent on the Honda side for those of you that aren't maybe as familiar with Nissan is you've got the Civic, which is kind of the smaller Honda, and then the Accord, and then you got the Altima and then the Maxima. Let me just look at the Altima real quick and see the platinum. You said the platinum trim, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's $34,000, and after you slap some options on that kid, um, yeah, yeah, it's a nice looking car. I want to see the interior. Yeah, nice big display,
Hmm.
very very Spartan. Not Spartan's not the word. Very clean looking interior.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Acura is a little bit busier, and
Yeah. Like I don't want to super like I don't need my interior to try to impress me. It just needs to be, you know, like I don't want it to be ugly. Again, I'm looking at you, Volkswagen Passat. Uh uh it's sad. I don't know how they sell any of those things. Uh
yeah. Well, no, this
uh,
Ultima looks really nice too.
yeah.
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned it because it totally would have slipped my mind here.
Yeah.
And I
And
and
the Maxima is nice too. I don't want to give that one like
Yeah, but
any.
still,
But
but still for
that made me more car than I need, right? Because it's got
yeah,
like the
and
300 power horse engine, like 300 horsepower engine, and I don't need that. I'm
yeah,
commuting.
yeah. What about a Camry? Have you looked at a Camry?
I think the Camry's kind of boring looking, and like I don't know. I've been kind of on the lookout for cars, and it seems like almost everybody has either a Hyundai Sonata or a Toyota Camry.
They're very
And
popular.
very popular. And because they're a nice, I mean, they're a good quality like commuter. I'm a middle class dad car. Like
Middle class
that's
dad.
that's why they're very popular. But I just want something that's, I don't know, a little more.
Well, I gotta be honest. I mean, I'm looking at I haven't seen the inside of a Camry for quite some time, and I'm looking at the interior pictures of the Camry right now, and that's an interesting dash with like that S in the middle. It's like it kind of like it's weird because there's the center console, and then there's this piece of trim that sort of kinks across the center. It's
Oh,
very
oh,
very interesting. Nice big
oh.
display though.
I don't like that. Ugh. I like the display. I like the dash.
I would have to see
I
that
like
display up close.
I like the display console, like behind the steering wheel, but that S, I do not like.
I don't know that
I need a
that
little
is,
bit more symmetry in my life.
Yeah, that is. I'll tell you, I like a little asymmetry. Now
I
the
don't-
thing, a thing I will tell you, car shopping as much as I have, and it's probably better these days. But usually, the bigger the screen, the slower the response time.
I'll have to-
So while you may want a big screen, you definitely want to go, flick your dirty fingers across it, make sure that it responds quick.
yeah. Yeah, I've watched some YouTube videos and it seems to be okay. I don't know. It's cars. I've never like went to YouTube to look for car videos before, and now that's all YouTube thinks I want to see.
Oh yeah, that happens.
But yeah, I don't. I'm gonna have to go, and it's gonna be a little bit because I have to kind of, like I'm gonna trade in my other car, and I kind of need to wait till I get the title, that whole thing figured out. So
You can do it. You can do it before you get the title.
That's okay.
They'll trust me. The dealership will love to do that. But yeah, you sort of said it correctly. It's a very bad time to buy a car right now. Just like houses, you're probably going to end up paying over sticker. Now I don't know how it works with leases, but if you were going to buy it, cars are flying off the lot. There's shortage of components that are making these harder to get.
Yep.
Yeah, it sucks to buy anything right now, man.
Yeah. Oh well, and like I can keep my other car for a while. Like I don't have. It's not urgent, but
Well, hold on though. So the last question I sort of have for you is, with the kids approaching or at driving age, does it make sense to hold on to this car?
So Jennifer and I, my lovely wife, we talked about this, and we talked to Zachary about given the options of so my wife's car, she drives a Hyundai Santa Fe. She loves the Santa
Great
Fe
car.
line of SUVs.
Yeah, great car.
Her lease is going to be up at the end of the year, and she's thanks COVID comically low on her miles. So there's a good chance she's probably just going to buy that car at the end of her lease, and that car is probably going to be Zachary's when he in a year when he's or right around the same time would be 15 and a half at the end of the year. So whenever he gets his temps, that'll probably be the car he wants. So yeah, and Jennifer is okay with it, so whatever. And it's actually, you know what, all things considered, I think it actually may be a better car for him. My Hyundai was the model right before they added a bunch of safety features as standard, so it doesn't have like lane assist or blind spot monitoring or automatic stop or any of that crap. Like if you walk in front of my car, I'm hitting you. Sorry. Her Santa Fe, which is a year or two after mine, has all that stuff.
Okay.
So it's probably gonna be a little bit better car for him anyway, just because of those things. Yeah, so he's probably gonna drive a Hyundai Santa Fe and cram all of his friends in it and do horrible things that I don't want to think about in that car. So
Yeah. So one last thing here. If you want someone to ride shotgun with you for this whole adventure, let me know.
okay.
I sort of like car shopping, right? As somebody who's owned probably too many cars for his age, if you want somebody to go with you and sort of kick the tires literally on these things, like let me know.
Okay.
Because you actually live in a part of town where there's a lot of really nice dealerships.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah. We've actually driven down to your side of the town to look for Subarus. We really like the Subaru dealership down your way. There is a Volkswagen dealership down there. I think there's also a Toyota dealership and maybe a Honda dealership. I don't know if there's.
And there's a lot of stuff in Grove City. There's a lot of stuff around the Georgesville area. If
That's
you
where we go.
If you kind of go to the east side, there's the Reichert Auto Mall abomination thing they have going on over there.
God.
Though I haven't heard good thing. I haven't heard anything but bad things about those dealers.
We're dealing.
Yeah. But there's actually there's lots of stuff around in that Georgesville area, so that's probably where I'm gonna head. Yeah.
I'm having a hard time figuring out where the nearest Acura dealership to you would be. I mean, I know there's one up near me, but there's got to be more than one Acura dealership in Columbus, right? Columbus, Acura. I think on the east side there's one.
Dealers.
There's Acura Columbus, which is here in Dublin.
Yeah. Oh, there's one on. There's a Lindsay Acura, kind of on the east side as well.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Right at the 270/70 split.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, Lindsay Acura. Yeah. I bought my the year that they came back out with the Civic Si. I bought my Civic Si from that dealership because there's a Honda dealership over there too. It's also a Lindsay Honda. So yeah, nice, decent dealership.
Cool.
And I traded, and sort of close the loop on the Volkswagen discussion. I actually traded in my really terrible, no good, awful Jetta that I had for less than a year. That's how much I hated it, and took a little bit of a loss on the trade-in.
Yeah. I've always wanted one. I don't know why. It's just something. I think I don't know.
It's funny because the Volkswagen Auto Group, they own so many brands, and they are a part of so many brands. And I had a hard time sort of overcoming my ownership experience with my Volkswagen before I had my Audi. And my Audi mechanically was a fantastic car. I never had any mechanical problems with that car. It was a 6-speed manual, high revs, supercharged, fantastic car. Electronically, it had issues. The GPS sometimes thought I was a quarter mile to the right of where I really was, which was due to a bad antenna. But I don't think I could ever own another Volkswagen. I do like some of them. I like the Golfs, like the little hatches. I like those cars. But I'm
gonna go into Skype, and I'm going to go to the chat, and I'm going to drop in a link directly to an image of what the Passat interior looks like in 2021.
Yeah, that's that just
yeah. It's
okay.
It's
so pet peeve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of go out of my way. I went out of my way on my Mercedes for this, and I went out of my way when I ordered my BMW for this. Any sort of high gloss plastic is going to show human filth. Right.
True.
That entire center console is high gloss plastic.
Yeah.
So the more stuff is wrapped in leather or plastic that isn't high gloss, the better, because you're going to get your fingers all over that thing, and oh god, that is going to be so hard to keep decent. Yeah, that's very boring and not good looking at all.
It just feels like it's a design from like 10 years ago, and they haven't got around to refreshing it yet. It's like someone took and went, well, we can just put a touchscreen in the what we have now, and someone said ship it. So
I'm not gonna lie, I like the giant vent across the top.
I could take it or leave it, but
I kind of like it. It's very retro-ish.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It feels like an older car. That's you're exactly. Yeah. It feels like an old Oldsmobile with a touchscreen in the middle. Like it's just kind of meh.
Yeah.
So anywho, pass. I did add the Acura to my car shopping list thing that I've been working on. So
cool. Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything going on. I'm actually off tomorrow, and it's the long weekend for the holiday, and it's going to be a good time. This next one's going to get probably a little mushy for me.
Okay, I'm ready for it. I got my tissues right here.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know about you, but I really don't check Facebook much anymore.
Nope, Nope, I haven't logged into it for.
Every once in a while though, for some reason, I'll have to pop over there. Like I sold some stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and I popped over there because somebody had asked me to friend them on Facebook, and I basically told them like, listen, I don't do Facebook. Um, but they run a business on Facebook, and they wanted me to look at their stuff, and they're thinking about starting up their own website, and they wanted some feedback on their Facebook page, and I was like, okay, fine. So I popped over there the other day, and lo and behold, uh, up on my Facebook feed popped up a picture of my going away party from the last job you and I worked at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna send it to you. You can use it as show art if you want.
Okay.
But it was this one, man, and it hit me.
Oh.
It hit me pretty hard.
We had been drinking.
I had been drinking a lot, and it's been 2 years since I sort of made the jump to a new job, and part of me was still sad that I left. I really came to appreciate and enjoy working with so many people there. It really kicked my career into high gear, learning to work with you and the John Krugers and, all the other super smart people that work there. There were a lot of really high notes that I hit, kind of professionally, skill wise. And it really broke my heart to leave. And that day was that going away party was a lot of fun. I had way too much to drink.
Good times all around.
Yeah, I had way too much to drink, which things got pretty sloppy towards the end, and I remember everything. Not necessarily. Yeah, I don't know. I think I was exceptionally passionate about how I felt about leaving. And after I had quite a few drinks, I made those feelings known, and I don't have any regrets for how things went down. I spoke the absolute truth about how I felt about it, and these last 2 years have been pretty rewarding. I obviously working for the company I work for now has given me a lot of really good exposure to technology. I've got to do a lot of really cool stuff, and I've opened a lot of doors professionally for things to come in the next year.
Excellent.
Yeah, everything is going very well in my new job. The first year was very hard in the role that I'm in, because you are thrown to the wolves pretty quickly to figure some stuff out. And the joke that I make with a lot of people in my job now is the technology is sort of the easiest part of my job. It's navigating all the internal processes that I have to do, and learning how to do that, and sort of what matters and what doesn't has been sort of the biggest eye-openers for me. But yeah, I just thought we could sort of reflect a bit over the past 2 years, because sort of as I was on my way out there, you had sort of taken on a new role.
It's true.
Yeah, had I stayed, you would have continued to be my boss.
That is true.
Yep. And I would have loved to have worked for you, just because, I think you're a fantastic human.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I just was on this kick of thinking about, the old days and sort of where we've both sort of wound up over the past 2 years.
Well, hold on. But before we get started, let me do my little reflection on you. Because I worked with you. I was your boss for a hot second, your manager, your people leader, and I still know you, and I kind of know what stuff you're doing at your current employer. And I also don't have any. Well, I'll take that back. I'm happy for you that you made this career change, because knowing you, I think what you're doing now, you're getting a constant exposure to new technologies, which I think is something you really thrive on, is that
Yeah.
constantly pushing the envelope, learning new stuff. And let's face it, when you work for a corporation and you're doing enterprise CRUD apps, there's only so much of that to go around, right? Like eventually they just want you to like ship features and get software that works and they can make money on, right? So there is time for greenfield stuff and new technology and you know, retiring old systems, but it's very limited. It's few and far between, right? And you know, one of the skills that I got to see you as your colleague really focus on and develop is like your presentation skills, right? And more than that, your teaching ability, your ability to look at something, distill it down, and explain it to somebody else. You really honed, and you're I mean, to be blunt, you're extremely good at it. And I think with what you get to do now, you get to do that more and keep flexing those muscles. And I think it's a great fit for you, what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I have sort of told this story, and it's 100% the truth about how I feel about it. But, you know, I grew up in a house of teachers. My mom's a teacher. My dad's a teacher. I married a teacher. My aunts and uncles were mostly teachers. I have cousins that are teachers. So I come from a very teacher-centric household. And not only that, but both of my parents are special education teachers. Or they're retired now, but they were special education teachers. And
that's a very tough job.
Tough job. And they were both pretty good at it. And, you know, I was sort of the odd duck in the family because, again, if you weren't a teacher in my family, you were a pharmacist. So I come from a long line of pharmacists and teachers. So being the, you know, quote unquote computer nerd of the family, I've always been a bit of the odd person out career wise. You know, my grandfather was a pharmacist. One of his brothers was a pharmacist. My uncle, my brother, my cousins, all pharmacists. And part of that is sort of due to the legacy of kind of, you know, my grandfather. He owned his own drugstore, and, you know, the fact that he had a computer to keep the books is kind of how I got started on computers. So you know, he had a big influence on me sort of learning that. But, you know, there was a period of my life where I was sort of hit an age where I woke up one day and I realized that I needed to choose something to do with my life. And part of me wanted to be a teacher. And, you know, listen, my parents weren't rich. They made ends meet. In fact, you know, in the town we grew up in, we were one of the few families that had 2 cars. We just didn't come from super great means. But my parents both had steady teaching jobs, and, you know, they provided for me and my brother as best as they could. And they did, I think, more than they probably should have for us. But anyway, part of the reason that I enjoy presenting and enjoy teaching so much is it makes me feel like my parents would be proud of me, because
that's awesome. Yeah.
It's the closest thing to being a teacher that I think I can be. So I feel like when I'm in front of a room and I'm presenting, or I'm in a group of 4 people and I'm teaching them and helping them understand some technology, that's as close to my parents as I've ever felt. And that's part of the reason that I give such a shit about it, because it's important to me that I do a good job at that for that reason.
Oh, that's awesome, Drew. Yeah. I knew your parents were teachers, but I never really made that connection in my brain.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why. And, yeah, I mean, I have fun doing it. I like to have fun doing it. I don't like to read from slides all that much. I like to do demos and be goofy, and, you know,
yeah.
I want everybody to have as much fun as I'm having.
And it comes through. I've seen you present many times, and you're very high energy. And, you know, I think you're one of those people that know just how hard it is to make a presentation like that.
Yeah, like sometimes it can be.
The amount of hours you have to put in, sometimes to get that demo right, or, you know.
But, you know, man, like, to sort of circle it back to the time I spent working with you, like, I would have never made that leap if it weren't for working with people like John Kruger. Like, John Kruger was a big influence for me, and I would have never met John Kruger or done any of those things if I hadn't worked where I worked with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I also got to work with John Kruger, and he's awesome. He's an awesome human being.
Well, I
Yeah,
remember, I don't know if you remember, but you were one of the people who interviewed me there.
I remember. Yes.
Yeah. You were the second panel of people that I met
Hmm.
with. It was
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
and the legendary Gene Pavel and
Hmm.
a colleague Andrew, right?
Yep.
And the only thing I really remember from that particular interview was that if I had worked there, I wasn't allowed to be Andrew because they
Right.
already had one.
You had one, so you were now
Yeah,
Drew. Yeah.
I was Drew. Yeah, and so that kind of worked out.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is true. Uh, I can't remember if Gene did anything embarrassing during your interview or
No,
not.
no, it was you all were the most sort of straight laced group that I had spoken to because I had also spoken because at the time the DBA role that I was interviewing for was part of the infrastructure team, so I sort of had a larger interview with like all of the people who were on the infrastructure team at that time. And the thing that annoys me is I have been told by multiple people that everybody in the infrastructure team gave me a thumbs up except for one person, but I don't know who that person was. And that drives me a little bit crazy. I'm
Uh,
not gonna lie. Yeah, man. And it's just, I was just thinking back to all the cool stuff that we did. And, it was because of you that I sort of learned to embrace automation more and all the CI/CD and DevOps and source control crap that we did.
yep.
That
Yep.
was due to you and Gene and Robert and JP and all those people. And yeah, I mean, we just did a lot of fun stuff, man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't know half the things I know now if it weren't for my time there.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously I still work there. I still like where I work and what I do. Uh, but yeah, like you said, like right around the same time, I also kind of changed what I did because I was that person who was like, I'm gonna stay technical forever. I'm never gonna be a manager. And then I was working on the DevOps team at the time, and our boss then, Gene, he went on to do other things. He was going to do other things, and it was one of those opportunities where I was like, well, if I'm ever going to be, a manager, this is the perfect opportunity for me to give it a try because I love everybody that I work with. I love what I do. Like it was just this perfect like I would get no better shot to try to do it than the opportunity I was given. Uh, so I don't know. Now I'm all reflective and quiet.
Yeah, but man, like I think it was a good step for you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
I I uh I still enjoy it. I've really liked what becoming a leader of people. Uh I'm obviously less technical now than I was before. And like people on my team are doing stuff that I just don't I don't know how to do anymore. It's like, yeah, I'm sure I could figure it out, but like it feels weird to have them explain things and show me stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, that's awesome, and I have no idea what's going on. But
Well,
that's
no,
that's
and
part of the gig, right?
yeah, but that is true career growth. And those kind of skills, by the way, like the ability to lead a team and sort of handle the administrative side of the job, that's important. And God forbid you decide to leave there one day and pursue other stuff. Like that's a notch on your belt that's going to be hard to replicate,
Yeah, yeah,
especially with as many years of technical stuff and the type of people you're managing and the technology they're involved in. Like that's pretty desirable, man. And
yeah.
that's that was part of the reason that I felt like I needed to leave because I really go back and forth on whether or not I would want to get into a leader role. I think I'd be a good technical leader. I don't know if I would be a good people leader. I really
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really wonder about that.
yeah.
Um
I think you'd be really suited for like the tech lead role, where like you have a few direct reports, but it's like you're responsible for getting things done technically, and they just happen to be your employees, but you're really kind of more like a mentor and a project leader, and you're still part of the team. Like, you
Yeah.
you spend like 25% of your percent dealing with people and 75% dealing with technology. I think that something like that would be a good fit for you.
Yeah, and I think the ultimate evolution of something like that is sort of a PM type role.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
and I'll be honest with you.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I'm
product
not really
manager.
sure that's
If
what I want. Like I
it's
could probably help drive a product across the finish line, right? Be part of a team that ships features or something. But I would want to get my hands dirty too much.
yeah,
Um,
that's the
that's the part that
mm-hmm.
worries me.
Yeah.
So
Now, right now, that those your kind of product manager, project manager, depending on what your organization calls them and kind of what your role is. Man, those roles are in high demand and they're getting paid.
they
Uh,
are,
yeah,
they are.
but
But
it's
if I,
something, and that's something I would want to do. Yeah.
yeah, I have, I'm of the age now where, I'm not getting any younger, so I need to sort of make that move into one of those roles to sort of, I think, stay relevant. Because, I guess as long as I'm good at what I do, I'm sure that I'll be employable. But, let's face it, as far as, engineers and developers, younger is kind of more in demand than older, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that's partially kind of why teachers out of school also get hired. It's because they're cheaper.
Oh, man, I don't know about that, Paul, because there's a lot of early 20-year-olds fresh out of school that are probably making more than I am.
I mean, if you're, it depends on where you live and what, if you have like a particular specialty, but I don't know. Like,
Like you hear the stories all the time. And when I first heard these stories a few years ago, yeah, there's an intern out in San Jose who's making over 100K a year for an internship, right? That's, I think, a little more common than we realize now. Now, granted, they work there, they don't work there for a full year and collect 100K. I don't think. Maybe they do. I think it's like, you sort of break that out over 3 months, but still, I had one paid internship in my life. The rest were free. So
yeah, I'm also, I mean, to take the turn into kind of hashtag middle management corner. I really feel that this whole remote work thing is going to do nothing but drive up IT salaries. Simply because you're now seeing companies that are based in places, like your Californias, your Silicon Valleys, your Seattles, your San Jose's, your San Franciscos, places with generally higher cost of living, and they're hiring remote workers in places like Ohio, and they're continuing to pay their, San Francisco salaries, which is higher than Columbus salaries.
yeah, I think there is some of that, but I think that also goes the other way too, where your salary might be in a band and then it is adjusted by where you live.
Yeah.
So I think they could also hit you over the head with paying you less based on where you live, right?
Yeah. It'll take some time to have all that stuff to figure out, but it'd be kind of, I'm kind of curious to see in a couple years where this stuff all lands. Yeah.
Yeah, now that like the pandemic is sort of subsiding a little bit, you said it yourself, right? I took a job that is mostly remote, right? So I was
Right.
already working at home before all of this, gestures and everything sort of happened. But, for you, right, working at the company you work at with roughly what, 500 people ish?
Yeah. Ish. More than that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But less than 1,000 though.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Have they basically made the determination that they're just going to let you keep working at home for the foreseeable future? Like there isn't a date to be back?
That is exactly right. In fact, we are opening up the office kind of like not for reals, but kind of like the first step next. Well, it's kind of started to open now, but it's really kind of hitting next week. But they're like, hey, like if you're gonna work at home at all, we're not gonna have a desk for you. If you come in, you're gonna be hoteling, and
Mm.
please just kind of stay at home. And
Yeah,
we spent
that
a
was
lot of time doing the whole flexible work arrangement thing. So like if you decide you're gonna stay at home permanently, you can fill out some paperwork, then get like a stipend for your internet and a little thing to buy supplies for your office and stuff. I mean, it's not huge, but it's a little bit saying like, hey, working from home is something we support. It's important.
Huh.
So yeah, so like me and everyone on my team, none of us are going back to the office yet, and probably none of us full time. Some of us may even move to different states. Like we actually have people on the broader team. Like I'm part of like our infrastructure team. We already have people that have moved to Florida.
Wow.
Yeah. So something I would have expected from the company, a little over a year ago. We were very much you come into the building and work kind of company, but now we're like, this remote stuff works. So
Yeah, I mean, if it's done right, it totally works. I guess I was curious, like if there was going to be like there's like nothing in place to say, well, you got to come in
no,
once a quarter,
Nope.
nothing like that, huh?
Nothing like that.
A lot of my friends who work for similar sized companies have, yeah, we want you here to check in, for like an all hands or something once a quarter.
And there we may do something like that in the future, and like budget money for the people who live out of state, who have to travel, for them to come and get a hotel and that kind of stuff, because that's what you're going to have to do basically if you're letting people move and go to other states, but you want them to come back. Well, it's really on your obligation. You say, I said it was moved to Florida, but you're gonna have to pay for your plane trip to come to Dublin. That's not gonna work, right? You're gonna have to go, well, yeah, book a flight and come and get a hotel and expense all that crap. So I think that's, and there could be like we're still figuring this stuff out, like a lot of places, I think. But I could see possibly that happening where like a couple times a year. And heck, maybe even it's optional. Like, hey, a couple times a year, come in. We'll have a big all hands meeting. We'll go get some drinks.
That is one way to solve the space issue there, because things were pretty tight there.
And we've done nothing but continue to hire since COVID started. So we are literally at the point where we have more bodies than we have places to put them. So we have to support some kind of remote work simply because we'd be breaking laws.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at any rate, man, it's been an interesting 2 years.
Yeah.
I think we both have sort of blossomed a bit, given what we're doing and how we're going.
Yeah, for
it
sure.
Definitely supports our podcast habit.
It does. It does.
But yeah, man,
this expensive podcast habit we have.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, because all the stuff we buy and review kind of accidentally.
Well, that's true. We do buy stuff to talk about on the podcast.
We do.
Oh.
I have regrets, but no, man. I sort of look back on that last day, and going to lunch with you and hanging out with you there. It was just we both wore our ATP shirts. Like it was just it was just a good time, man. I mean, you get me.
That was my. When you decided that you were going to leave, I knew my number one responsibility was to throw you one hell of a party. So that's what I did. That's what I did.
You did. And regardless of how people felt about me on the way out, I appreciated that, you were still my friend, and you were nothing but great to me, man. Both as a boss and a friend, as a coworker. I just, you made everything super great for me.
Back at you, man. I love having you in my life.
Aw.
Yeah.
I love having you in my butt. Wait, what? Yeah.
Now, I mean, I don't want to be too presumptuous, but now that you have the juice and I have the juice, and you have a board game table.
I know. So about that, I have been purposely sort of holding back the next game night because I'm waiting for something to arrive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away because I want it to be a surprise, but I have a very, very special game coming. That when it gets here, there will be a board game night plan that you will be part of the invite.
Okay. If unless absolutely impossible, I will be there.
Oh, I know you will. And part of it also too is I'm also sort of secretly hoping that I can get a house and not have to cram bodies into my super tiny house too. But that's probably a dicier proposition at this point. I mean, hell, we saw a house last weekend that the location was perfect. The size was probably bigger than we needed. But these people had not done any upgrades since the house was built. And if here's the thing though, if we weren't in this market where people were vastly overpaying, over asking, I would have offered probably $10,000 to $15,000 less than they were asking.
But
taking all that money and modernized it.
Right.
Right? Like before I even moved in, boom, let's rip out these cabinets and these countertops and upgrade the appliances and refinish the basement and upgrade the bathrooms. Like, hell yeah, let's go. Right? Replace all the doors in the house because they're ugly brown hollow core doors. Right? But I can't spend 40 grand, 50, $60,000 over asking and not have that money to do that. So it just wasn't even worth me putting in an offer. And then this weekend, there weren't even houses in Dublin that are being shown. So, man, it's been rough.
One day, I believe in you. You'll get it.
Yeah, we'll keep going, man. I mean, with Mandy being in school most of the year, our time to move is like over the next couple months. And it's part of the reason we didn't kick off a build when we did, just because the timing would have been awful.
Yeah.
So if we don't find anything by September, we'll probably go ahead and maybe build. Hopefully, who knows what'll happen by then, but
right.
Who knows? All right. Well, wrapping up this trip down memory lane, what do you say we wrap up this podcast?
Yeah. As always, you can find us on the internet at doingtheirbest.com. You can find us on Twitter at doingbestpod. You can find me on Twitter at Paul Baylor. And where can we find you, Drew?
Yeah, I'm over on Twitter at Pittsburgh, and I actually streamed last weekend. I replayed in about an hour and 40 minutes the entire King's Quest I VGA game.
Wow.
Yeah, I was shocked how much I remembered about playing that game. You can watch the entire playthrough over on Twitch. I also recorded it, and I'm in the process of trying to get it uploaded to YouTube. It already has a copyright strike. So I need, Oops. No, it doesn't have a copyright strike. It has a copyright issue that needs to be resolved before I'm allowed to publish it.
Yeah. Music.
Yeah. So, real quick. Yeah. So what happened was, I am a member of the Monster Cat, thing. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a collective of artists and tracks and everything. And they have an option to where if you subscribe to them, you are allowed to use their content for streaming.
Oh, okay.
So like at the beginning of my streams, I always kind of play a track as I'm getting set up, and it's kind of playing in the background and I've got visualizations that kind of show. And then I sort of turn the music down and sort of ease into streaming and then turn off the music. Well, it works fine for Twitch, but I thought I had it set up for YouTube where I could use it too, but it had identified the two. Kudos to YouTube.
You have to
it had identified the tracks
that you're allowed to use the copyrighted material, and then they do all that. Yeah,
like they have clear instructions how to do that for Twitch, and they have it for YouTube as well. And I thought I did it, but apparently I didn't. So I'm in the process of sort of just editing that out and getting it re-uploaded, so you'll be able to watch it on YouTube as well. But anyway, pretty fun. There's a lot of hilarious deaths, just because it's a janky old Sierra game. But it's pretty fun. I'm gonna do another one of those this weekend. I think I had a lot of fun. It was another good trip down memory lane. So twitch.tv/PITTFURG as well if you want to check me out there.
There you go.
All right, everybody.
Thanks for listening.